Hello and welcome, my friends. It's Peg, and today I am doing the fast version of the live show from AJOS Sharing. That's where we do our live show each Thursday morning. And today I am just playing around with products. You know, we all have stuff that sits on the shelf that we don't get to, and I've been trying to be more diligent about using things. This is some glitter. I've had this glitter for probably 30 years in my stash, and I like the color. I want to use it up, and I'm just thinking about, how can I create using these products that are just sitting around. So you'll see me use some glitter. You'll see me use some puffy paint. Um, you'll see me experimenting with acrylic mediums. And so this was all going on before the show. I set these things aside to dry. This is some of that Sennelier puff paint. And I'm just drawing abstract tree. And then I'm going to move on to my journal cover. These are these canvas journal covers from Ranger. And one of the products that I have is F&W and Doc Martin iridescent acrylics. And I thought, I need to use these, and I'm going to try using them on one of these journals. Now, the surface is wet, so it's going to want to bleed out a little bit. And I'm okay with that because I'm just playing around. And I'm finding that this green gold is kind of translucent, so it's not covering the blue spray in the background anyway. This is just a canvas that I have covered with some ink, and I will end up coating the whole thing with some matte medium to seal all the layers in. But right now I'm just getting some layers of color down. I decided I didn't like the stencil brush, so I'm moving on to another brush to see if this works a little bit better with this medium. So this is a show that we do live, and then we videotape Shell on her channel and on mine, and give you a little bit better picture because we split the page when we're doing a live show together, so you can't always see all the things on our desk. And so I'm going to continue to play with products. These are old stencils that I've had in my stash for a very long time. I think this one is a TCW stencil, and you're gonna see me end up cutting it up into pieces so that I can put the smaller pieces into my journal and carry it with me. Now, normally what I would do is paint the canvas and make sure that all the layers are dry and everything is pristine and ready to accept paint pens and that sort of thing, but it's an hour-and-a-half show. And I'm just saying you don't have time for all of that in an hour-and-a-half show. So you're going to see me having a few frustrations. This is going to be way too wet, and I'll have to do some modification, but that's okay. I'm going to move on and keep working. This is a stencil from What If NC. My friend Carla made this 2020 stencil for me, and I'm going to try using some of this ink. The background is wet, the ink is very wet, and it's going to smear. I'm not going to worry about that too much. Because of the bridges in the stencil, I'm going to need to come back and fill in some of the areas on the numbers. So I'll get a paintbrush and I'll touch up. And then in the final end, I will actually take a paint pen and emphasize the 2020. So this is, I'm finishing up a journal from this year. It's been a rough year for everybody. I've had a hard time being motivated and working. Thus, this journal is blue. It's my blue journal from 2020. And, you know, I think we've all had some tough times this year trying to motivate ourselves because everything just seems to be working against us. You know, you can't be with the people you want to be with. You can't do the things you want to do. Uh, it's just been tough. And then, you know, with that on top of the whole derecho storm here, we actually had people still here this morning came by and cut branches off of my one single tree that I have left out front because the city is still trying to clean things up. So I've got another pile of brush out there to cut up and put in the yardie. And yeah, didn't want to do that. But at least it's 56 degrees here today, so not quite so bad. So you can see I've grabbed a pen and I'm shaping up the image with that blue pen, and then eventually I'll come back with a black pen and outline. And I'm going to use some of that ink around the edge. So I'm showing, you know, this is the snarky insert journal that I had done this year. And I've got some stuff in there about 2020. And I've got these prints that I made on my Sprocket. That's a little printer from HP that does these small prints. It just is a real compact system that you can take with you, like when you're going on vacation or something. And so I printed out these little prints, and I've got prints from, you know, when we were doing the cleanup here, cutting down trees and things. This is, I rearranged my inks and things in my studio. I'd gotten these new risers to put my distress inks on, and a piece of my art, and I'm just gluing that in the book, and then that'll go into that cover from 2020 along with several of my other journals. Now this one is the one that I am preparing to use for my 2021. And I have a couple of ink pens that I've filled with some of those acrylic inks, trying to experiment to see if I can use those acrylic inks in water reservoir brush. Of course, I'm making a mess on my desk. And it dries down, and it dries down permanent. But you can see I've got journals in here that I will be using this year, along with stencils and things that will be part of my process for the year. So I'm pulling those out. This was the one that I did for 2019, and it's got all kinds of things in it from 2019. But these are those iridescent inks from Doc Martin, and I'm putting some of that down, and I'm getting a brush and spreading it around, and I'm going to get that water reservoir brush that's got the acrylic ink in it. That was a ink that Shell had sent to me in a care package, and so I'm just playing around with the colors, getting a base coat onto this canvas for my 2021 journal. I'm going to pull out that string. I don't even know if I'm going to use that one because it's not the color I was thinking I was going to use. I don't know. Color isn't going to make a lot of difference. It's a retainer for the journal. It holds it all together. And so I'm getting all those acrylics down. Now these should not move because they are acrylic ink. So when they dry down, they should be permanent. But I may end up using a few other things on top of it, and I may end up putting a coat of matte medium over it. Anyway, so trying to keep my desk fairly clean, trying to dry this down a little bit so I can go on and add more layers as Shell continues to make her Christmas ornaments. If you want to see what Shell was working on today, go over to Paper Octio Studio or to our live, which was Art Joy is sharing, and you can see, live what we did in slow version because we were talking to the audience and just, making art. And then Shell should have a fast version of what she did today on her channel. So I'm getting out some paint now, and this is another stencil from my friend Carla. It has 4 different sections, and I'm using it just to add texture to this pretty yellow background now. So if you don't know about Art Joy Sharing, we have a Facebook group which has challenges each month, and it's a safe place that you can come and share your art. There are questions that need to be answered when you request to join, just so that we know that you're not a robot, you're not trying to sell something, you're there for the purpose of sharing and growing and finding new friends in art. So come and join us on Art Joy Sharing, answer the questions, and you will be in. So now I have that layer, and I'm going to continue to layer because, nothing better than more layers. So let's see what else I can come up with. So now I'm speeding this up to 8 times fast because you've seen me stencil, you've seen me do what I do, and I am using another stencil from What If NC. This one is from Utter, and I'm going to use this translucent yellow just to add another layer. And you don't need to see this in slow motion by any means because I'm just stenciling over. And I will continue in that vein. I will get more colors and add them. I'm using up this paint that I've got out on my surface. On the inside and adding some more color. Drying it down because, gotta have it semi-dry to put the next layer on because things start to blend out. So I'm going to mix some color. I've got this pink, which I slopped on the front of my cover, of course, and now I'm adding some of that leftover blue, and then, of course, I spilled the green, and yeah, kind of a hot mess here. But I've got my stuff mixed up now, and I'm just going to use that same stencil with this lavender sort of shade. I don't know, lilac, purple, something. Adding yet another layer. And I'm liking the way all the layers are coming together now. Just cleaning up some of the leftover paint that I got on my tool and my surface. Helps if you keep your area clean. Drying down again, and then I decided I wanted to add some white. So I'm going back to that same quad stencil, and I'm just going to add some white in a few areas with that kind of rocky section of that stencil. Flipping it over, using up what's on the desk. And then I will get, this is just a punched stencil made out of some stencil material that I don't know, I picked it up at a discount store, and I'm going to use some gold iridescent paint with this star that I punched out of some stencil material. And add that to the background. And then I will get out my Posca pens. What I want to do is emphasize those stars. I want them to, they're the topmost layer. I want them to stand out. I also want to go around some of the circles and do a little bit of doodling. I will finish this up later. You know, I may end up adding more things. I want to put the 2021 on the cover someplace just so that I know what this journal is. So, you know, you can play with this as much as you want, put as many layers on there as you want. I'm going to do a little bit of splatter on there with my black Posca, and then I'm going to use the white and go around some of those circular images. And it's starting to come together. It's starting to make me happy. And I want my journal to be happy this year. 2020 is about over with, and I'm ready for 2021. So I'm just showing, you know, how I put those little journals into the cover. And I'm going back to that 2020 and doing a little bit of outlining with my Posca pen. This isn't totally dry, but it's dry enough that I can start doing a little bit of work on here. And I will continue this tomorrow after things dry down even more. And I'm going back to that stencil. I'm going to cut it down because it's too big to really fit into my journal. And I like these little stencils that I can just put inside my journal and take them with me. So I can doodle around them, or, you know, just use them in any way I find fit. So, emphasizing the imagery on here with a blue pen, and then I decide I'm going to use this other stencil from What If NC and put it on top of the first image that I had and put some pattern into the background. So this is another little journal insert that I'd made some time ago, and I've got paint and I want to play around with a gel plate. These are pages that are just play pages. That's some faces that I was playing around with some time ago, I don't know when, and I'm just, you know, getting some paint on the pages because these will become surfaces, you know, just background surfaces that are ready for play. we're talking about, you know, the gel plate. It's a 3x5 gel plate from, which one is it? Gel Press. And it's a nice size for working in these smaller journals. So now I'm going to slow it down a little bit. So while Shell is finishing up her project, I'm just showing some of the things that I've been playing with, trying to use up some of these products that I have before they dry out sitting on the shelf. So I'm just showing how you can take these 3D dimensional paints and just draw an abstract tree. You know, if I'm wanting to send out a note, a thank you note or a Christmas card or something, I can just very easily, you know, draw something kind of abstract. People get the idea. You know, you don't have to make it perfect. And kids can even do this. So you can see that's what I have here, and this one is dry. And then I also have some Christmas trees that I did with glittery things. So I have some glue, which I'm going to grab some. This is some of the best glue, guys. If you have a fine tip, this stuff works great. This is the glue from the company that does the glitter. And I'll try to remember to put some links in below. You can't get it here in the wintertime because if it freezes, it just doesn't work the same. So, you know, you got to have it on hand or be in a area of the country that they can ship to, or you have to wait. So I'm putting on some of that glitter. This is some Wow glitter that I just had in my stash. And then I'm going to come back with that glue and make some more lines. And you can see my pot of glitter there. You kind of want to burp your tube of glue so that you don't get it splattering out everywhere. And get a steady squeeze going on it. And then I'm going to take this dark green and put that over the top. Shake it off and put the rest back in the pot, just like you do with embossing powder. And then I'm going to get the red Sennelier puffy paint out and put some of that on the tree to decorate with festive balls. And, you know, you could use any color you like here, but I like the red. It's a good contrast with the green and the gold. And then I will get a red Posca pen and write a little greeting. You kind of have to think about how this is going to be spaced out. You could sketch it in with a pencil first, but, you know, I'm just doing a real quick card here. But you can see you can knock out Christmas cards in a hurry just using some of the supplies you may have on hand already. So that's it from me today. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you again soon. Bye for now.